I need you to stop scrolling for one moment. Not the part of you that is still checking his last scene. Not the part of you that rewound that last conversation for the 100th time, trying to find the exact moment things changed. Not the part of you that saw her name somewhere and felt the floor shift beneath you. I need the part of you that is still standing. The part that got up this morning even when it was hard. The part that is quietly, desperately hoping that someone is going to tell her the truth today, instead of just telling her what she wants to hear. That part of you deserves this conversation, because what I am about to tell you is not a trick. It is not a manipulation strategy. It is not a list of games to play so he notices you again. It is the truth about what actually changes a situation like this, and it starts not with him. It starts entirely with you. So stay with me, because in the next few minutes something is going to shift. Let me tell you what most women do when a man leaves or pulls away or chooses someone else. They get smaller, not all at once, gradually, quietly, in ways they do not even notice at first. They start sending messages that are a little more careful, a little more measured, a little more designed to not push him further away. They start shrinking their opinions, softening their standards, lowering the volume on their own needs because they have decided somewhere in the back of their mind that their needs were probably part of the problem. They start performing happiness on social media so he might see it, performing indifference with their friends so they do not seem too broken, performing strength on the outside while quietly falling apart every night when the performance is finally over. And the most heartbreaking thing about all of this, it does not work. It never works, because you cannot shrink yourself into being chosen. You cannot disappear into being valued. You cannot perform your way into someone's heart when the real you, the full, complex, sometimes messy, deeply worthy real you, is the only version of yourself that was ever worth loving in the first place. So the first thing I want you to understand today is this. Everything you have been doing to try to hold on or win him back or stay relevant in his mind has probably been working against you, not because you are doing it wrong, but because the entire strategy is built on the wrong foundation, the foundation of not being enough, and you need to burn that foundation down today. Here is a truth that is going to feel uncomfortable before it feels freeing. He did not leave because you were too much. He did not pull away because you loved too hard. He did not choose her because she has something you fundamentally lack. In the majority of these situations, a man leaves or chooses elsewhere because of something happening inside him that has very little to do with your actual value as a woman. Maybe he was not ready for the depth you were offering. Maybe he confused excitement with compatibility. Maybe he chose what felt easier over what was actually better. Maybe he is the kind of man who does not fully appreciate water until he is standing in a desert, and right now he is still near enough to a tap that the thirst has not set in yet. None of those are a verdict on your worth, but here is where it gets complicated. When we are in pain, we do not reach for the complex explanation. We reach for the one that gives us control, and the explanation that gives us the most control is the one that says it was our fault. Because if it was our fault, then we can fix it, we can change it. We can do something differently and get a different result. So we ask, what did I do wrong? We ask, what does she have that I do not? We ask, what would have happened if I had said this instead of that? If I had waited longer? If I had pushed less? If I had been softer, cooler, more available, less available, more exciting, more patient? And we spend months, sometimes years, living inside that question while he moves on. Write this down, read it slowly, let it land. You are not a puzzle to be solved so that the right man will finally stay. You are a woman to be met by someone ready enough, grounded enough, and courageous enough to show up for what you bring. The question was never what is wrong with you. The question was always whether he was the right person for what you are. Now let's talk about what actually works, because I know you came here for something real, not just comfort, and I respect you too much to give you pretty words without substance. The thing that actually shifts a dynamic, whether he comes back or whether you build something better, is not a text strategy. It is not a silence game. It is not posting the right picture at the right time, hoping he notices. It is the complete reclamation of your own energy. And I want to break down exactly what that means, because most people hear that phrase and nod along without actually knowing what to do with it. Reclaiming your energy means this. Every single thought you are currently spending on him, decoding his behavior, imagining conversations, wondering what she has, replaying what you had, that is energy. Real, finite, powerful energy. And right now that energy is living in someone else's story instead of your own. Think about what you could build if you redirected even half of that energy back into your own life, your goals, your health, your friendships, your creativity, your peace, your future. The women who become truly magnetic after heartbreak, the ones who transform in ways that turn heads, and yes, sometimes bring people crawling back, they do not do it by focusing on the man. They do it by so completely, so aggressively, so intentionally investing in themselves that the obsession slowly loses its oxygen and something new grows in the space it leaves behind. That is the real strategy, and it is harder than any text game, but it is the only one that gives you a result worth having either way. Let me tell you about access, because this is where most women unknowingly hand all their power away. Access to you is not a given, it is a privilege. And right now, if a man who hurt you, who chose distance, who chose someone else, can still reach you whenever the mood strikes him, if he can still send a casual message and hear back from you, if he can still count on your warmth when he is lonely, if he still has a place in your emotional world that costs him nothing, then he has never truly experienced what losing you feels like. He has only experienced an adjusted version of having you, and an adjusted version of having you teaches him nothing. What teaches him something is the silence where you used to be. The unanswered message, the absence of your good morning, the disappearance of the soft place he used to land without earning, the sudden reality that the woman who made his world warmer decided to take that warmth somewhere it would actually be valued. That is what creates reflection in a man, not arguments, not long explanations, not ultimatums delivered with tears, absence, real, clean, dignified absence. But I need to be specific here because this is where women make a mistake. Cutting off access is not just about the phone. You can block his number and still check his page every night. You can stop texting him and still keep his photo in your camera roll. You can tell everyone you are over it while secretly analyzing his every move online, hoping for a sign. That is not absence. That is suffering with better packaging. Real absence means removing him from the center of your mental world. It means deciding that your attention, your precious, limited, valuable attention, is no longer available to someone who did not protect it when he had it. That decision is not made once. It is made every morning, every time the habit tries to pull you back, every time you reach for your phone and something in you wants to check on him. You choose yourself again and again. And again, until one day it stops feeling like a choice and starts feeling like your natural state. I want to talk about something that nobody in these conversations ever addresses directly, and it is the thing that I think keeps more women stuck than almost anything else. It is the belief that if he sees you doing well, it must be because you want him to see you doing well. So women hold back. They feel guilty for going to the gym. They feel strange about dressing up. They feel almost ashamed of their own happiness because it looks like they are trying to make a point. Stop that. Your growth is not for him. Your glow is not a message to him. Your healing is not a performance for his benefit or anyone else's. You go to the gym because your body deserves care. You dress beautifully because you deserve to feel alive in your own skin. You build your life because your life is worth building regardless of whether he is watching. You laugh loudly because joy is your birthright, not a tool. The moment you give him credit for your growth, even in your own mind, you are still handing him power over your story. Your comeback belongs to you, fully, completely, without asterisks. And here is the beautiful irony. The growth that is done purely for yourself, the kind that comes from genuine self-love rather than silent competition, that is the growth that actually changes your energy in a way people feel before they even understand why. There is a difference between a woman who looks good to be seen and a woman who looks good because she finally sees herself. Everyone in the room can feel that difference, and he can too. Let me walk you through what this actually looks like in real life, because I do not want this to stay abstract. In the first days and weeks after you make this decision, it will feel like nothing is working. The silence will feel heavy. The absence of his messages will feel loud. You will have conversations with him in your head. You will compose text you never send. You will have whole arguments and reconciliations and breakthroughs with a person who is not even in the room. That is normal. That is what withdrawal feels like. And yes, it is withdrawal, because emotional attachment operates on many of the same neural pathways as addiction. The brain does not easily distinguish between a person and a substance when both have been a consistent source of relief. So you allow the discomfort. You do not run from it. You do not numb it with distractions that just delay it. You sit with it. You cry if you need to. You journal if it helps. You call a friend who will tell you the truth rather than just agree with everything you say. And then, after the discomfort, you do something small and intentional for yourself. Not a grand gesture, something small. You make your bed. You make a meal that actually nourishes you. You take a walk without your headphones and let yourself be present in the world. You return to something you loved before he became the center of your emotional universe. And the next day, you do something small again. And the next day, and slowly, imperceptibly, the center of gravity in your life begins to shift. It moves away from the question of what he is doing and what he is feeling and whether he misses you. And it moves toward the question of what you are building and who you are becoming and where you want to go next. That shift is everything. That shift is the whole game. Now, I want to speak directly to the women who are in the hardest version of this situation. The ones where he did not just pull away, he chose someone else, visibly, publicly, in a way that you had to witness. I know what that does to a person. I know how it attacks not just your heart, but your sense of reality. Because suddenly everything you believed about the connection you had is being held up against the evidence of his choice, and the gap between those two things is excruciating. You wonder if any of it was real. You wonder if you were naive. You wonder what she understood about him that you missed, or what she offered that you could not. Let me tell you what is actually happening in most of these situations. New does not mean better. It means new. A new relationship carries none of the weight of history. It has no arguments, no disappointments, no moments where real character was tested and found lacking. It is all possibility and no proof yet. It feels light because it has not been real yet. What you had with him was real. Real enough to show you who he actually was under pressure. Real enough to reveal his patterns. Real enough to test whether he had the depth and the courage to love someone fully. And the verdict of that reality may be uncomfortable, but it is honest. She is currently in the stage that you graduated from. She is in the version of him that feels exciting before the truth of him settles in. And if he is the kind of man who runs from depth, from accountability, from real intimacy, she will eventually learn what you already know. But that is not your concern. Your concern is what you do with what you now know, because you have information she does not have yet. You have clarity she is still months away from earning, and that clarity, as painful as it was to acquire, is an asset. It is the thing that makes you wiser, sharper, more discerning about who gets access to your heart next time. You did not lose, you graduated. Here is the part that changes the trajectory of everything. What you do with the next 90 days of your life will determine not just whether he comes back, but who you become on the other side of this. And I want to be direct with you. 90 days of intentional, consistent, self-directed energy can change your entire life, not in a dramatic overnight transformation, but in the way that steady water reshapes stone, slowly, persistently, powerfully. In those 90 days, you stop making his behavior your daily weather report. You stop waking up and immediately reaching for your phone to see if there is anything from him. You stop structuring your emotional state around what he is or is not doing. Instead, you wake up and you ask one question. What is one thing I can do today that future me will be grateful for? Maybe it is finishing that course you enrolled in months ago and never started. Maybe it is having the honest conversation with a friend you have been avoiding. Maybe it is finally booking that appointment you have been putting off. Maybe it is simply drinking enough water and going to sleep at a decent hour because your body has been neglected while your mind has been busy obsessing. These things sound small. They are not small. They are the architecture of a new life being built one quiet, deliberate brick at a time. And when 90 days have passed, you will not recognize the woman you are becoming. Not because you will have forgotten him, but because you will have added so much to yourself that he occupies a smaller and smaller percentage of who you are. That is not numbness. That is healing. That is the real thing. I want to address a fear that I know many of you are carrying quietly. The fear that if you fully let go, if you truly stop waiting, truly stop hoping, truly stop holding a door open, you will somehow cause him to never come back. As if your hope is the thing keeping the possibility alive. As if the moment you stop wanting it, the universe closes the door permanently. I understand that fear. It is deeply human. But I want you to hear this clearly. Your desperate wanting is not what will bring him back, and your healing is not what will push him away permanently. If he comes back, it will be because absence taught him something that your presence could not. It will be because he did the reflection that comfort prevented. It will be because time and distance showed him what he actually lost, rather than just what he temporarily left. None of that requires you to stay emotionally frozen in place waiting for it to happen. In fact, the opposite is true. The version of you that stays frozen, that keeps the wound fresh, that stays available, that makes it clear you are still waiting, that version actually removes the urgency from his side. Because if you are clearly still there, clearly still hoping, clearly still emotionally tied, then he has not truly lost you yet. He has only postponed having you. But the version of you that genuinely moves forward, that closes the internal door, that stops performing availability, that gets so busy living that you stop tracking his every move, that version creates something he cannot control. Uncertainty. An uncertainty in a man who took your presence for granted is one of the most powerful forces in the human emotional landscape, not because you planned it that way, but because it is the natural consequence of you finally choosing yourself loudly enough that the choice is undeniable. Let me speak now to the women who are asking the question underneath all the other questions. What if he does not come back? What if I do all of this, the silence, the growth, the healing, the rebuilding, and he still stays where he is? What if she keeps him? I want to answer that with complete honesty. Then you will have built a life that is extraordinary anyway. You will have reclaimed your peace. You will have rediscovered your identity. You will have become a woman with clear standards and real boundaries and genuine self-knowledge. You will have proven to yourself that you can go through one of the hardest emotional experiences a human being faces and come out on the other side not just surviving but expanding. And the next person who comes into your life will not be meeting the wounded version of you that is still living in the shadow of someone else's choice. They will be meeting a woman who knows who she is, knows what she brings, and knows exactly what she will and will not accept. That woman attracts a completely different quality of love. Not because she played the game perfectly, but because she became someone who no longer needs to play games at all. That is the real prize at the end of this journey. Not his return, you. The full, healed, powerful, joy-filled, standards-having, peace-carrying version of you that this season of pain was always in the process of building. So let me bring this home. If a man chose someone else, if a man is somewhere right now living a life that does not include you in the way you deserve to be included, here is what you do. You stop shrinking. You stop performing. You stop making yourself available to someone who demonstrated that your availability was not something he planned to honor. You reclaim your time, your attention, your emotional energy, and you redirect every single drop of it back into the life you deserve to be living. You let the silence speak what your words never could. You let your growth be the answer to every question he is eventually going to ask himself at 2 a.m. when the noise settles and the truth gets loud. And you do all of this not to win him back. You do it to win yourself back. Because the woman who chooses herself fully, who refuses to dissolve for anyone, who keeps her standards even when loneliness makes compromise feel reasonable. That woman does not just get a man back, she gets a life back, she gets her voice back, she gets her joy back, she gets the future back that she almost traded for a man who was not ready to deserve it. And if he comes back after all of that, if he shows up with real change, real accountability, real humility, and real action, then she gets to decide from a place of wholeness rather than desperation whether he deserves a place in the life she built. And if he does not come back, she is already so deep into her own beautiful, full, purposeful life that the question of his return is no longer the one she wakes up asking. She wakes up asking something far better. What incredible thing is possible for me today? That is the ending you deserve. Not him on his knees, you on your feet. If this video reached you at exactly the right moment, if something I said today landed somewhere deep and true, I want you to do one thing right now. Leave a comment below and tell me where you are in this journey. Not for me, for you. Because putting it into words is the first step of making it real. And for every woman reading those comments who feels alone in this, your words become her reminder that she is not. Share this with someone who needs it today. You might not know who she is yet, but she is out there. And this might be exactly what she needed to hear. See you in the next one.